Aries, welcome back. Thank you for joining me today for this Solstice Oracle reading. Let's get started and see what messages are going to come through for Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising as the seasons shift. Let's see what's shifting within you, Aries. Ooh, anything... Ooh, new life. Love that. Hi, Aries. Look at this. New life. Let's see what's on the bottom of the deck for you. Never-ending story. You have been going through it, Aries. Your weekly readings have been very moving. I feel like you're transforming, rapidly is not even enough to describe it, but there is something that may feel like it could never end. I feel like you're on the brink of it ending. It's transformative. It's going to bring you to a new life, but you've got to be willing to let this go. Whatever it is, it's going to be different for everybody, but it's something that is never ending in its energy. It doesn't feel like it's serving you. I feel like you're going to go from feeling like this to feeling like you just woke up into a new pattern or life. So this is very interesting. Serendipity behind new life, or behind never-ending story. This is fortune. This is some sort of fortunate shift. Something that felt very heavy is about to go. But I can't help but think that you have to allow this to go. You got to let it go. Let's see what you may need to surrender or surrender to in order for this new life to sort of get moving. Oh, surrender your ego. Yeah, you got to let this go. This is ego-based, and this new life needs you to let that go. Isn't that interesting? Cultivate gratitude, be of service to others, and come from the heart. A big ego can work against you, but humility will always further your goals. This is saying to me, surrender your ego. Whatever this never-ending story is, there was an attachment that you held that was sort of based in your ego. So it might have been based on this idea of something that isn't very empowering. It might be something that doesn't actually communicate your own truth, but it's something that you've attached a story to. So you have this attachment to something that you don't want to let go of. But little do you know, if you're able to surrender your ego and let go of this, there is something beautifully new coming in for you, something serendipitous, something that has a lot of fortune attached to it, lots of good energy. Let's see, bottom of the deck is surrender to your soul's path. Exactly. Stop trying to control the journey by hanging on to things that don't serve you. It says here, your life's a journey that has been perfectly designed for your soul's growth. Embrace every lesson and every moment. Exactly. But know when it's time to hold them and when it's time to let them go, right? How did that song go? You got to know when to hold them. You got to know when to hold them, but you also have to know when, what's the other line? Fold them? I know that song, but I can't remember what it says now. But, we're always being guided. Right? We're always being guided. But if something is bringing you to a place where it feels like a never-ending story and you're holding your head in your hands like that, it may be time to understand the lesson and then move on, right? Even if your ego is saying, but, that gave me a lot of external validation, or that gave me a lot of praise and recognition. Well, it's kind of like, well, maybe it's time that we give those things to ourselves so that we're not held hostage in situations just because it validates us. Well, but it's obviously never ending for a reason that's making you feel a little defeated, it feels like, when I look at that image. And a new life, that suggests to me that you're on the brink of something brand new that is the next phase on your soul's path. So we got to let go of the ego and embrace the path of our soul. It couldn't be a better message because they're very related, right? Let's see what will reveal itself from this deck, the Creativity Oracle. Oh, you got two cards that flipped right away. Limits and Resurrection. Interesting. Limits. It says, know that limiting attitudes are often formed as protective reactions to past events. So again, this never-ending story did serve a purpose. It had a lesson attached to it, but I feel like hanging on to it is limiting you. And so it may be time to surrender it and to let it go. Resurrection says reconsider a project or recall a person from the past to resurrect an idea. That's so interesting. I feel like this is pointing you towards a new path, like to take this never-ending story and sort of like almost see that it could be providing a hint or a sign towards something else that needs your focus. You know what I mean? Something that's going to spark this new path that is part of your soul's journey, right? It's so interesting when the cards all are sort of connecting the messages. It's very interesting. Bottom of the deck is actualization. It's one of my favorite cards in this deck because I just love the image. Isn't that a beautiful image? I just love it. The message on the card says you will achieve your full potential by virtue of creativity and your honest pursuit of the truth. You got to look at something honestly here, away from the lens of the ego. Nothing wrong with the ego. It's just trying to protect you, like this card said. It is a protective sort of defense that we all have to keep us in a comfortable area, but it's limiting you. It's limiting you, and it's causing this loop where you're never ending the same situation. Your soul wants to head on to a new path, and you will achieve your full potential by the virtue of your own pursuit of the truth, right? It's very interesting message for you to receive at this time. Feel like you're at a decision point where you need to sort of decide if you're going to go with your intuition and your soul's path, or if you're going to let the ego keep you limited. You're wanting to come to life, new life, resurrection, actualization, surrendering to the soul's path, removing limits. It's very interesting. Let's see what messages come up here to close your reading, Aries. Let's see. Vulnerability. Exactly. Isn't that interesting? Knowing the limits that this may have been protecting you from the vulnerability that you're feeling like it's a weakness maybe, or you're wanting to keep yourself safe. It's very interesting. The card says, this is confirmation that you're seeking to tread into the unknown, new life, unfamiliar territory where decisions are based more on intuition than rationality. Exactly what I was just saying. The soul's path, your intuition. So interesting. Don't let fear hold you back or allow a misguided sense of feeling that vulnerability, is somehow a negative condition. There is something within your ego that's trying to keep you safe, and it's saying, no, don't be vulnerable. Don't you dare. Let's just keep protecting ourselves, and then we'll be fine. And then your soul is like, no, it's time for a new life. It's time to end this never-ending story of being afraid to be vulnerable and really stepping into ourselves, into our own actualization. You are being guided right now to push past that, Aries, to push past that. Bottom of the deck is grounding yourself. Yeah. Being distracted, unfocused, tired, irritated, and impatient are all signs that you're ungrounded. Now is the time to choose to become centered and allow spirit to help you ground yourself and reconnect with divine source. So following that soul's path, grounding yourself, being open to just being vulnerable and trusting this actualization of achieving your full potential needs you to be vulnerable in order to actualize that. And that you might have been living a never-ending story that was based on what the ego was trying to do to protect you, which, is fine, but it's limiting. It's limiting, and it ends up making fear. You end up sitting in your comfort zone so long that you become afraid to venture out of that garden. And there's a whole world there. There's a whole new life waiting for you, Aries. I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining me for this reading. I'm sending you so much love and light and wishing you a wonderful, happy solstice. Take care, my friends.